650 days, 8 hours, 52 minutes. That's how long it's been since the last Create Mod update. I'm just messing with you guys. Obviously, I have no idea how many hours and minutes it's been, but that doesn't even really matter anymore because now we have Create 6.0, the post-production update, aka the Amazon Worker update, aka the Ted Kaczynski update. That's weird. I wasn't expecting a package. This update is just absolutely insane, and to try to show the scope of it, I bookmarked all the new blocks, but this doesn't even really scratch the surface considering most of these have like 15 or more complicated uses. So it kind of seems like the only logical thing to do is mess around with each one and then try to make something awesome. Oh my god, there's actually way too many to pick from. I don't even know where to start. Eeny, meeny, miny, chain conveyor. Technically, I don't think they need it, but every time I see these things being built, they have 3 metal girders below them, so I'm just gonna do that here too. And then I should just be able to connect these with a vanilla chain. Right click on this and then right click on there, and it's not even doing anything, but it looks so good. You know what? I have to test this. I'm a man of science. They need to be on the ground too. Does this also work? Okay, so it connects them. Now the real question is, does it actually run? So first off, these could just get rotational power in the top, and they look so good. I mean, they look good without running, but then they look while they're running even better. But does this one work if it's on the ground? Okay, so it does, in fact, also still work if it's on the ground. My understanding is these are primarily going to be used for transporting items, but technically they can also transport rotational power. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I can just right click on this. Yup. I'm being dragged along. The animation for this is actually really good. Wait, what happens if I turn this all the way up? Okay, yep, that's a little bit dumber. Next question, what happens if I use this one? Does it kill me? What? So it's actually is able to stop you from riding on it if you don't have it in the air. There's clearly a ton of just stupid and silly stuff you can do with these chain conveyors, but I'm relatively certain that the primary purpose of these is to transport items around. The only thing is, to transport items on this, I think they need to be in packages. One of these 4 different shapes and sizes of packages, which all look really cool, but to get those, we need to use the packager. For this, I'm pretty sure I just need anything that's considered an inventory, so I'll be basic and just use a chest, and then we just slap down a packager on it, and then it needs a redstone signal, so we'll just use a button, put that there, and oh, you know what? Let's package a chest. Oh, there it is. It looks so good. And then the packages, you can put them down on the ground, and I'm pretty sure you can even throw them. I swear I saw that somewhere. How do I throw this? If I want to throw it at someone, what do I? Oh, you hold it and charge it up. Oh my god. Okay, so it looks like it maxes out at 9 stacks per package. How about what if we have packages and then we have a shulker box? No! That would have been an awesome way to crash the game. So we've got a package and we want to get the package on the chain conveyor. How do we do that? Frogs. Huh? And I'm not talking about this frog. I'm talking about this frog. So these frog ports can be attached pretty much anywhere on a chain conveyor, and then you just place them down on top of something like a packager, and I think it should be able to either shoot a package up there or suck a package down. So do I just have a package come out and then it, oh my god. Okay, it's stuck over there because it has nowhere to go. That looks really stupid. So we turn this one down a little bit. There we go. This is what happens when a frog and an andesite funnel love each other very much. Oh, that's so stupid. I don't want to say this is early game stuff because it's not really, but this is all relatively basic. So as stuff starts to get more complicated, this won't really be a chest anymore. Instead, it'll be something like a really big item vault that you have. And then maybe I'm super rich and I just happen to have another huge item vault. Well, then I can use these things called stock links to create networks of all the different storage systems I have. And then all these storage systems can be monitored together. So you could basically use these to create like your own refined storage network, applied energistics 2 network. Guys, it's crazy. This is making every other mod obsolete, even a bunch of add-ons. Creating a network on its own though isn't really the most exciting thing because you're probably thinking, well, what does that even do? I don't know if it does anything until you use the stock ticker. So this again has to be linked to the network. So now it's tuned to this whole network. But if I place this down, I either need to put a mob or a blaze burner down next to it. And now if I click on it, now I have a stock ticker that allows me to monitor what's in these networks. And this is actually a good time to kind of showcase another little feature. The item hatch right here can go on any inventory block on the side of it, and it allows you to dump stuff into the system by just right clicking on it. And if your inventory is always a total mess, well, then you can shift right click and it deposits everything but the stuff in your hotbar. I mean, like, where was this during every survival series I've ever done? So if I want any of these items, I don't need to go and get them from the specific vaults they're in. Obviously, this isn't a fantastic example because they're super close by, but I can request a package be sent to a specific address. So I could just throw down a chest right here. If this is where I want all the items to go, right next to the stock keeper, I don't necessarily think I need a packager. I think the packager might put all the items in the chest, whereas if I don't have a packager, it'll just show up as a package I have to open. But either way, then I just take a frog port, I say where I want it to grab from, and then if I just come over here, let's say I want 1 dirt, I click send, it puts it up there. It's so good. I cannot get over this. One thing that does kind of tie back to this whole system too, and will probably be a little bit less used, but it's going to be the redstone requester, which you can link to a stock network. And for this, you can set a specific loadout of 9 items that you want to automatically request whenever it gets a redstone signal. Let's just say I have a bread farm. I could just put this bread in here. I want a full stack of bread. Well, if I just put a button on this and push it, it triggers that. This should be a full stack of bread coming in here, and there it is. So stuff like this will definitely be great if you have routine things that you want to refill on. Now it's time for the nuclear bomb of an item, the factory gauge. This little item is the single most insane part of this entire update, if you can believe it, and is probably going to cause the most issues for people with understanding how it actually works. Just like everything else, the factory gauge needs to be connected to a network, so you just right click on the network, and then the most basic version of it can just be placed down on a packager, and an item can be set so that its levels are maintained in the adjacent inventory. Let's just say I want a stack, but as 64 items. So it says there's none in there. It requests 64. It sucks the 64 in, and then it puts them in here. So this is the most basic way to use the factory gauge. It's just to maintain a specific level of a specific item in a specific inventory. But let's say you want to get a little bit nasty with it, then you can do that. You can put the factory gauges down essentially anywhere. So I see a lot of people just build these nice cardboard walls where they can put this down on, and these can be used to set up extremely complex auto crafting recipes. So I wanted to do a really basic one, andesite alloy, which is going to need iron nuggets and andesite blocks. So the final product I want is andesite alloy. I can right click on it. This again is where I can set the amount. So if I always want 64 andesite alloy, I can set where I want it to be. And for this one, because it's not directly on, it has this recipe set up here. So we're going to add a new connection because this recipe requires input. Oh, I forgot. I have to put items in these first. So we have iron nuggets and andesite. So I add a connection and then I can connect it. So now it's requiring some andesite and some iron to make andesite alloy. I do have to manually change the numbers a little bit. I think for mixing, it's 2 and 2 makes 2. So this right here is literally an auto crafting recipe. So a hypothetical, but if we assume this is my mixing setup right here, a stack of andesite and a stack of iron nuggets in here, it should package them and send them out, and then it'll get pulled in here. If I wanted to do more of this, I could say, oh, well, iron nuggets, who has iron nuggets? So I put this down and I say, you use iron ingots to make iron nuggets. And then I go in here and I had a new connection and it comes from down here. But in this case, we would use mechanical crafting. So I would click this and it converts 1 into 9. And then it would try to request these to refill the iron nuggets to, let's say we always want a stack of iron nuggets. It's insane, guys. My brain is exploding. My favorite create build that I have ever made so far was in my 100 days series. It was my automated mixer and press setup to make brass, andesite alloy, and then to press as many sheets of whatever I wanted as possible in a really compact setup where I put it all into a couple chests and then I just get out what I want. But at the time, it required really complicated redstone and all this different stuff behind the scenes to work. So I want to recreate that as a better version so that it's automatically crafting it and is just amazing. So I want to start out with a central storage location. I think eventually a lot of people are probably going to have multiple item vaults all over their base that are hooked up. But for me, I'm going to assume that I have one core storage location here, and this is where I'm going to have a packager to pull items from and a packager to send items to. Then I'm going to need some chain conveyors that are kind of going to go all around this area for transporting the packages. I'm just going to keep them lined up so that it looks nice, even though technically these don't need to be lined up. There we go. I think these 3 should be sufficient. This one should allow packages to be carried close enough to do the input and output, and then probably have the mixers and press and everything set up over here. So I'm going to need 1 depot for the pressing, 1 mixer for the andesite mixing, and then 1 mixer for the brass mixing. I think previously I used multiple of each of these to speed it up, but in this case, it's not really imperative, I think, that it goes really fast because it's just always going to keep it restocked. We'll do a mixer here, mixer here. I am going to need a blaze burner under this mixer for the brass, and I think this is going to present an interesting challenge keeping this thing fueled. And then I'll just put a press over this depot right here. I'm gonna hook up a packager to each of these. I think I've seen people use belts feeding into them, but I think this will be the easiest way to input items here. So then each frog port just needs to be connected. No, this one's turned weird. That's okay, that's gonna bother me. I need it to be perfect. It needs to be looking straight ahead. There we go. It's like a military formation of frogs. And then for each of these, I do need to name it. So I'm going to do brass, andesite, alloy, and this one is going to be just press. So that's the input. They're going to come down. They're going to go in here. And unfortunately, I do think I am going to belt it off of these. You know, it feels kind of nasty to be using this right now. I have to use a belt here. Ugh. I am going to put brass funnels on the front of these. It's a little bit of a waste of resources, and I will need to set filters for these, but it looks better. The press, it will need it because it doesn't have an auto output. And then we just put in all the different kinds of sheets that we might make. The last thing is I'm going to have to eventually have a packager here with a frog port that sends items back onto this. And for this one, it can be send packages only. And then it does need an inventory to be connected to. So this time I'm going to use a barrel. I'm going to put a brass funnel here so it inputs. And then I have to set up one of these as an input. So we'll just do this one as an input. And then this one can be the output. And this one should be only sending packages. So this is outputting. Whenever we request stuff, it should come from that. And this one will be the input. Oh, and it gets even more complicated because I'm pretty sure anything that's outputting will need an address to only send to storage input. And to do this, if I'm not mistaken, you put a sign and we have it the address we want it to send to. So it needs to be the same. So this will output and it'll only be accepted by this. That way we don't have any of these little idiots over here accidentally. Because I'm really trying to challenge myself, I'm going to set down a depot here with a mechanical arm, and I'm going to set this to work on the blaze burner because I'm going to make it so the blaze burner needs to be constantly fed by coal from the mechanical arm, which means this right here is also going to need a packager and it's going to need a frog port. And this one I am going to set to coal. And then as if all of this wasn't bad enough, I want to continue to challenge myself to see if I can do this right. I want to convert iron ingots into iron nuggets. And I'm going to need crafters to do that. So if I'm not mistaken, when you use the gauge crafting using crafters, I think it always needs to be a 3x3, and you would put a packager on here for the input. And then I think we would need another packager as an output, and I need an inventory here for them to input into. So we'll have a barrel there and then just wrench these like we normally would. So those are all connected. The output would go here. This would package it again. And then we need to put down an output frog port. Oh, and this one is another output to the system, so it needs to have an address. So it needs to say storage input as well. Oh, and then I need another one. We'll just call this crafter, and this is an input. So there we go. So that should input to the crafter. This will make the nuggets. The nuggets can be output. They can go back. I think this is right. There's no rotation or anything yet, and there's nothing linked in networks yet, and there's no auto crafting, but I think baseline, this is everything that we need. Now, the biggest thing that I'm not sure on is what all needs stock links. I'm just going to put it on the output. Now comes the painful part. I've got my board here to set up, and it's time to use the factory gauge. I gotta go and start linking this to the network over here. And yeah, this is about to be a lot. Technically, I think these are all the gauges that I need to have set up right now. None of them are linked yet, but I've got the 3 different types of sheets that I would typically make. I know copper sheets aren't on here, but so each one of these is just going to be the sheet connected down to the ingot. So I'm pretty sure if I just click on this, add a new connection and bring it down, these ones are really simple because they're just going to be sent to the press. So I think here, if I click on this, it's just 1-to-1 and this gets set to press. The promises don't expire. This thing, I'm pretty sure it means like if it sends out a press, brass, if in a certain amount of time it doesn't get back a brass sheet, it assumes that something went wrong. There's nothing in our network, so it might try to send this, and that's going to be the same thing for these two. And then these, it's going to be the same thing hooking them up, but the address I'm going to set is going to be to the andesite alloy and the brass. I think that's all hooked up now. Everything's green, which I think means it's got addresses and amounts, and everything should be kept in a stack. So once the rotational power is hooked up and items are input, if this all works, everything to one of these should have a stack of these. Now I have to actually hook up rotation to these. Oh, gross.
A few moments later.
Thank goodness for being in creative and having access to creative motors, because otherwise this would have been awful. It doesn't look the best. You know, we don't have all the fancy cogwheels and there's just a bunch of purple blobs laying around, but pretty sure everything's powered now. I did remember though, one of the things I didn't deal with yet, and that is the coal right here. So for this one, it is an easy solution. We just put a linked factory gauge on here. We set it to coal. And for this one, I technically probably set it to more, but I want it to just be 1. So, and I think in here, we just need to set this as to where it's going to be sent to. That's going to be coal, and it should be good. Now to make use of the item hatch again, to dump all this stuff in here, I've got 3 stacks of what I believe is everything we should need. And this should allow it to convert the iron to make the brass before it presses it. It should be all good. So just shift right click, and I think it should start. Yep, it's putting a bunch of packages up there. And oh my gosh, I realized I need to set a redstone signal for these. So if I turn these always on, they should send items out, and this needs it as well. Oh my gosh, it's all working. It's happening. So all of these are requesting. They're making colors. I don't know what they all mean, but they're all being requested. And I think if I click on one of these, I can see how many are open. So it should be making nuggets right now. It's waiting on these, and then it'll send these out. So now it is. Oh, look at it going though. It's so good. It's so good. This is so much easier than my other setup. Although I'm really concerned that it might be getting overloaded with packages. What if I turn the speed of this down? Does that help at all? Or does that overload it more? I don't know. Oh my God, there's so many packages. Yeah, okay. I think I know what the issue is. It's because it's requesting 1 at a time. So what if each of these, I just set it to be 2 and 2? I guess I just sit back and wait, and it's either gonna break or not break and finish. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's no more packages. It's just packages getting sucked up because it's going too fast. I think it lets them go by. So those will have to go back around. But oh, I'm seeing green over here. So I'm already seeing some problems in this. These were totally fine. The brass one, this is because I messed up the numbers in here. But it's done. Oh my gosh. And this is so much cleaner, and it looks so cool, and it sounds so cool. Obviously, this update is completely insane. So I'm really curious to know what your guys' favorite part of this is, so definitely let me know in the comments. My favorite part personally is that this update single-handedly makes every build I've ever made in Create utterly worthless.